All these years you have wandered the hallways of my memory. But when the blue moon brought me to you, to your river eyes and thunder laughter, I asked myself, is this a dream? You hold me and your voice rings a familiar bell. There's an echo chamber inside me, and your handwriting is on the wall. Nothing's lost. But we haven't got much time, and this is a dream I have to wake up from. That's what return tickets are for. You're slipping, and I hold to you like sand. I blink once, and an hour has passed. But I take these moments. I take every grain. I take what I can. We're making tea on a blue propane fire, and I'm thinking about how I've only ever known you in the summers. What's it like when the jasmine flowers fall like Saharan snow? When was the last time you laughed until it hurt? Whose funeral did you never fully leave? What bones have you broken? In what child's play? On what streets? In what worlds? I'm a half moon without you. Are you longing for me too? Summer is never long enough, but it's enough to be here with you. We're making our own world, and I'll take what I can. We're wandering through the laundry lines, and the linens are floating like clouds, and you don't know that I'm in a dream with you. It's a dream about home. I will remember us like this, how we were here, how for a blink in time, distance collapsed, and we danced for light years, and we grew old together, and I rested my head on yours like a loose gray hair. How our little world unfolded, like the carpet that we covered every corner possible with. How we sat on it at the edges of the night, nothing left but our vessel of stories. It never dries. Right now, we are here. I'm looking at your familiar faces, curled in new wrinkles each time we meet, and I am only so certain that I belong to you, that I belong to you.
She was a child full of joy and spirit, with wise things to say, curious questions to ask, stories to share, and plenty of words of love and comfort. But she found herself being told, "Shh, be quiet. Sit quietly. Don't make any noise. Don't interrupt." At first, she remained quiet, thinking nothing other than, "This just isn't the time to speak, or not my turn." When she did use her voice, it was timid, quiet, unsure. Was this the time? Is it okay now? Is it my turn? And when she did speak, people would say, "Speak up, you're so quiet." Quiet became confusing. Her voice became confused. At times, when she needed her voice, it was not there. Times when she spoke, even loudly, she was not heard. Over the years, the strong spirit inside would unleash her voice where deep in her heart it mattered. She used her voice to say no, and it was ignored. She used her voice to reclaim her path, sharing her truth, and it was belittled. She used her voice to defend herself, and she was told to run. She used her voice to express her unconditional love, and was rejected. She used her voice to share her feelings and found the pain grew rather than subsiding. She used her voice to communicate her needs, and it was met with disregard. The confusion grew, and her voice came and went like waves of the ocean. The waves mimicked her speaking up and being silenced. She observed the tides, the ripples, the rhythm, and wondered when the tides would turn for her. She remembered she used to write. Her voice no longer came out on the paper. She used to express her voice with dance, and her body no longer moved as easily or gracefully. She would drive, listening to music, as if going somewhere to escape. Silent tears would roll down her cheeks, unrelated to anything in the moment, but coming from somewhere within. She would stare at the ocean, watching the movement of the water, feeling soothed by its rhythm, held in its expansiveness and empowered by its sound. The spirit inside was still loud and growing louder. It was strong and fearless, and it took control, demanding to be heard. A boy, upon hearing her use her voice, spoke up and said, "You'd better listen. She may not be strong, but she's fierce." She kept hearing this deep in her spirit. Wondering what he meant by this, she inquired. He replied, "You may not be strong physically, but you use your voice to be fierce. When you say something others need to hear, you don't need to yell. You explain why they need to listen, and that's fierce." She realized this doesn't mean everyone will listen, but there are ones who are listening, and continuing to find and use her voice is setting an example, paving a way, perhaps speaking for those who can't, and she must continue to use her voice. On her favorite day, a girl gave her a special gift, a necklace that read, "Strong women, may we know them, may we raise them, may we be them." Again, deep in her spirit, a chord was struck. Words began to reappear on paper and escape from her mouth through a quiet but strong voice. It's time to toss away the fear and silence, embrace the voice that's always been there. Rise up. It's time to be heard.
How do you feel? A question that made me choke. I couldn't tell you. I didn't know how. The feelings were there, but my tongue wasn't familiar with my heart's language. So I drew it. I drew people, lots and lots of them, people's faces and expressions, stacks and stacks of sketchbooks. I never showed them to anyone. I was too shy to show myself, to show who I was inside. On the outside, I was smiley and cute, happy, but no one knew me. A lot of it had to do with my father. He struggled with clinical depression. He never told me how he felt when he was suffering the most out of everyone. So how could I? He was there, but I didn't know who he was. Like a living ghost. You try to reach out, but they can't reach you. He was a stranger living in my house. So I coped through numbing and escaping as a teen. I didn't like to stay home because home was filled with my problems I didn't know how to face. So I was partying and dancing because I didn't know what to do with all these painful emotions that I didn't understand. I wasn't strong enough to face myself. I was scared of who I was because I was so unknown. It wasn't until 11th grade in humanities class. Our teacher introduced to us spoken word poetry. She made me face my emotions. She gave me the courage to hear myself. And that's when I found my voice. I could draw my words with my tongue now. I could dance around you with my rhymes. I could tell you how I feel. It's the end of the class here. I am a changed girl. I have opened the jar filled with my hidden feelings, filled with hidden parts of myself. All our classmates have to do an end of the year activity. We each get envelopes that we fill for each other with compliments. I open mine when I get home. You made my year brighter. I will miss you. Needs to learn to shut the fuck up. Since then, I never did. My voice only grew louder. I wrote, I posted, I performed. People liked it. I loved it. I kept doing it. I published a book. I kept pouring and pouring myself for the world to drink. My pain, my story, my trauma, my heartbreaks, anxieties, my happiness, my joys, my love, my faith, my identity, my journey for the world to know, for myself to know, and to answer the pending question. How do you feel?
Русская народная песня «Степь да степь кругом».
I've been calling her Bobby since I was little. It's short for babcia, which means grandma in Polish. She came over to Canada to help take care of me when I was a child. She worked in a bakery for a long time and tried to learn the language on the side.
Miałam 7 lat, jak uszyłam pierwszą sukienkę dla mojej siostry. Ponieważ moja mama zawsze nam szyła takie sukienki na wyrost. No i długie, a dziewczynki nosiły krótkie sukienki.
Back when Poland was still occupied by the Soviet Union and was a socialist state, it was really hard to get anything in stores, even basic things like a bar of soap. People had to wait entire nights and lineups to purchase simple necessities.
Jeszcze mi się oberwało, bo połamałam parę igieł, nie umiałam szyć na maszynie.
So when people had nothing, they made themselves feel better about their self-worth by taking great pride in their appearance. Even today, you can't leave the house with a button missing or a stain on your shirt. My mother used to even iron her underwear for school.
Ile to pracy kosztuje, żeby być ładną. I pieniędzy.
When I grew older and she was deciding whether to return to Poland or stay in Canada, she discovered dance clubs for older people. In our culture, it's normal for women to dress up when they go anywhere. It's common to see ladies with makeup and heels in the local Biedronka, the supermarket that literally translates to ladybug.
Uwielbiam tańczyć ballroom dance, latino dance, waltz, tango, ramba, samba. Nie, samby nie lubię za bardzo. Ja nie lubię disco.
When Bobby lived with my parents in Canada, she used to always come into my room and ask for my opinion about her outfit. It usually involved a dress she had sewn herself. Saw some dress in a store and decided she could make it cheaper than the $30 it was going for. So she took herself to the fabric shop and crafted it herself. Would draw a pattern on the floor and kept the sewing machine humming. Since Bobby has found dancing, she's found an opportunity to do over her younger years. Bobby is the oldest of 16 children. She was imprisoned in forced labor camps with her parents as a toddler, and then spent her childhood helping her mother raise the family on a village farm through years of poverty, alcoholism, and abuse.
Czasami jak mam dobrego partnera, który dobrze prowadzi, dobrze tańczy, to zamykam oczy. Zawsze mi się wydają, dlaczego zamykam oczy? Bo ja wtedy jestem poza. Tańczę, mnie nie ma. Jak dobrze prowadzi, lekko prowadzi, to się pływa na parkingu.
Teraz ile razy w tygodniu?
At least 2 razy w tygodniu. Czasami chodzę 3 razy, a czasami 4 razy w tygodniu. A ja nie zaczepiam ani wszystko, bo się wstydzę.
Now, she gossips about the other ladies' outfits and tells me all about the men at the dance clubs. Her most important traits for a man are that he is clean, smells nice, and is a good dancer.
Mam taką znajomą i ona mówi, jak nieraz nikt ją nie prosi, ona mówi, to jest ich strata. Oni nie wiedzą, co oni stracą.
When I was younger, I started calling her my best friend. I still do. She's been with me through practically everything.
Sukienkę samą uszyłam. Widziałam kiedyś w polskim serialu dziewczynę w takiej sukience.
I most admire her ability to chase after joy, regardless of her age.
Podoba ci się?
This year, Bobby will be turning 76 years old, and she doesn't plan to stop dancing.